Let me tell you something strange about silence in the digital age. We live in a world where almost everything gets shared. Birthdays, coffee cups, sunsets, tears, laughter, even pain dressed up with filters. Yet some people remain completely invisible. They scroll quietly, observe deeply, but rarely, if ever, post anything. You probably know someone like that. Maybe you are someone like that. And here's the question that always lingers in people's minds. Why? Why would someone choose to stay unseen when the whole world seems to be shouting for attention? It's easy to assume that those who don't post are shy or introverted. But that's only the surface. Beneath it lies an entire psychology, one that reveals a lot about human nature, self-perception, and the silent rebellion against a culture obsessed with visibility. For some people, silence is not emptiness, it's control. It's the power to decide what the world doesn't get to know. Because, whether we like it or not, social media has shifted the way we define ourselves. It rewards display, it praises noise, and yet the ones who stay in the shadows often see the world most clearly. They watch without interrupting, they think before reacting, they analyze instead of rushing to judge. Psychologists have found something interesting. People who rarely post often score higher on traits like self-restraint, introspection, and emotional independence. They're less influenced by social comparison and external approval. In other words, they aren't trying to prove who they are. They're trying to understand who they are. And in a world drowning in performances, that's rare.
Because, let's be honest, most of what we post is not just communication. It's identity crafting. It's an unspoken audition for belonging. Every caption, every photo, every update quietly asks, "This is who I am. Do you approve?" But when you stop posting, something shifts. Your worth stops depending on digital applause. Moments become yours again, instead of content for an audience. And that's the hidden psychology behind many people who don't post. They crave authenticity in a space that often feels staged. They don't hate social media, they just can't find themselves in it anymore. It's not about being anti-tech or anti-social. It's about refusing to compress your life into highlights. Because once you've seen how easy it is to shape perception, you begin valuing what can't be posted. Silence, depth, imperfection, truth. For some, the decision not to post happens after a kind of emotional burnout. Maybe they once shared everything until it stopped feeling real. Every beautiful moment came with invisible pressure to top it the next time. It wasn't living anymore. It was performing. So they quit quietly. No announcement, no goodbye post, just disappearance. But here's what people misunderstand. Not posting does not mean not feeling. It doesn't mean they don't care. It often means they care more about presence, meaning, and protecting what's sacred. There's a concept in psychology called psychological ownership. It's the sense that something belongs deeply to you, a memory, a thought, an experience. And the moment you post it, that ownership fades a little. The moment becomes shared property, open to judgment or misinterpretation. So people who don't post often guard their life experiences like treasure. They keep their moments untouched, private, pure. And maybe that isn't sadness. Maybe it's a quiet kind of freedom. Because think about it. When was the last time you did something meaningful and didn't feel the urge to share it? When was the last time you laughed, cried, achieved something, and didn't immediately imagine a caption? That reflex isn't natural. It's conditioned, shaped by years of likes, shares, and dopamine loops, training our brains to equate validation with value.
So, stepping outside that system feels like rebellion, but it can also feel like healing. You start rediscovering simplicity, cooking without photographing it, traveling without tagging it, feeling without explaining it. In that silence, something awakens, a kind of self-awareness that doesn't need an audience. But not everyone who doesn't post is doing it from peace. Some are driven by fear of judgment, rejection, misunderstanding. Social media has amplified a subtle anxiety psychologists call self-presentational pressure. The feeling that you're being watched even when you aren't. And for many, that's exhausting. They worry that what they say might be misread or ignored, so they retreat. Not because they don't want connection, but because the cost of visibility feels too high. They want to be seen, but truly, not superficially. Sometimes the quietest people online have the loudest inner worlds. They're not absent, they're overflowing. They simply choose stillness over spectacle. There's a philosophical beauty in that silence. In a world constantly saying, "Look at me," choosing invisibility becomes a form of self-definition, a way of saying, "I exist beyond your perception." They scroll through other people's lives, nodding, smiling, sometimes aching, but rarely projecting. Not because they're cold, but because they understand something most others don't. Not every experience is meant to be witnessed. Some of life's most profound transformations happen quietly, unseen, unposted. And once you've lived enough of those moments, you realize that being unseen is not the same as being insignificant. That's where identity is formed, not performed. Here's the paradox. Social media was built to connect us, yet it often leaves people feeling more isolated. When you stop posting, you stop chasing digital closeness and start rebuilding real ones. You begin noticing who checks in without updates, who remembers you without reminders. That kind of connection, raw and unbroadcasted, feels heavier, warmer, more real. People who don't post live in that space. They build relationships that don't need proof. They find comfort in what remains unshared. Part of it is identity security, knowing who you are when nobody's watching. That's not arrogance, it's peace. And ironically, the people who don't post often have the most interesting stories. They just save them for real moments, for when you're sitting across the table, not across a screen. Because real connection isn't measured in likes. It's in shared silence, eye contact, and laughter
that doesn't need witnesses. These are the people who carry worlds within them, who observe constantly, feel deeply, and understand quietly. They don't need applause for existing. They simply live. Their silence isn't a flaw. It's a mirror, a reminder that not everything meaningful has to be shared. That sometimes the most human thing you can do is keep something for yourself. And here's something fascinating. The longer someone stays off social media, the more vividly they start seeing the world again. Colors feel richer. Time slows down. Conversations deepen. It's as if stepping away from the noise makes the world real again. When you stop performing, you start experiencing. There's a quiet beauty in living without needing proof of every step. You're not thinking about angles or captions. You're simply there. And the psychology goes deeper. Every post, every like, releases dopamine, the same chemical tied to reward and addiction. Over time, we start craving that validation. We start shaping our lives around it. Now imagine someone who resists that loop, someone who chooses to detach from the dopamine cycle. That's not disinterest, that's discipline. People who don't post often have a strong internal locus of control, meaning their sense of worth comes from within, not from external approval. They don't need the digital echo of "you're enough" to feel whole. Studies show that those who take long breaks from posting often experience higher emotional stability and increased life satisfaction. Because when your identity isn't constantly reflected back at you, it becomes real, solid, unfiltered. You stop editing your life into fragments and start living it fully, messily, authentically. But silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it hides exhaustion. Social media was once a place for connection, but many now feel drained by it. Watching everyone else's highlight reels while you're living your behind the scenes can wear you down. You compare without wanting to. You question yourself even when you know better. So some people step away, not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. They realize they don't owe the world a performance. They don't owe anyone an explanation for their silence. They don't need to prove happiness to be believed. We've confused visibility with value. We assume that to matter, we must be noticed. But the things that shape you most are rarely posted. Your growth, heartbreaks, private victories, quiet kindnesses. They live in memory, not in media. And maybe that's enough. Psychologists talk about authentic self-expression, the alignment between who you really are and how you present yourself. But in the age of filters, that alignment is distorted. We start living as the version of ourselves curated for acceptance.
So, when someone chooses not to post, maybe it's their way of staying congruent, of preserving the fragile truth between their inner and outer world. They don't need to share every feeling to affirm its reality. They don't need to capture every sunset to remember how it felt. They live fully and quietly. And here's the paradox. Those who live quietly often feel life most intensely. They're present. They notice details others miss. Yet people label them mysterious, distant, detached. But their silence isn't emptiness. It's depth. It's the calm that comes from no longer needing to be understood by everyone. There's a quiet confidence in not needing to be known by many, only understood by a few. And those who don't post understand something vital. Not every truth belongs to a crowd. Some moments deserve to remain untouched by algorithms. Once something becomes public, it stops being purely yours. It becomes open to interpretation, judgment, and trend. Some moments are too sacred for that. So next time you notice someone who never posts, don't assume they're hiding. Maybe they're simply living. Maybe they've found peace in the quiet corners of life, the ones not lit by a screen. Maybe they've remembered what we forgot, that being unseen isn't the same as being alone, that being quiet doesn't mean being empty, and that sometimes the truest expression of who you are is silence. Because in the end, we're not meant to be performances. We're meant to be people. And the people who don't post remind us of that. Every quiet, unfiltered, beautifully invisible moment.